There is something huge going on in the silver market right now behind the scenes. This is not making any headlines yet. However, this very well could be the biggest event since the Hunt Brothers silver squeeze of 1980. Let's talk about it as we explore. A real and true silver squeeze. In 2021, there was an attempt by buyers like you and I to squeeze the price of silver. We could not do it. It failed miserably because of the complexities of the market and how little impact the actual bullion market is compared to the rest of the silver market. Well, what's happening right now is something that is in a dramatic form is by the big players in the silver market. That is refiners, big banks, and industry. And that's right. And there's a lot of pressure right now on the silver refiners with a 3-month backup. Before I get into this too hot and heavy, I want to make you aware of Summit Metals, summitmetals.com for all of your precious metal needs. And I may be interviewing them soon. So if you have a question that you'd like an answer to from Summit Metals, type out Summit Metals in all capital letters and then a colon and then your question. I'm going to look through those. We're going to pick them for an interview coming down the road. Also want to make you aware of goldsilverswap.com, which is access to a marketplace for buying and selling precious metals. Sign up for early access there at goldsilverswap.com. So there was a post that really shook the world and those precious metal nerds out there, especially those in silver, from the CEO of Scottsdale Mint. That is Josh Philip Fair. He says silver refineries in the U.S. are backed up more than 3 months. They are processing so much material into the COMEX good delivery on behalf of the banks that industrial consumption is having issues finding reasonably priced silver, physical silver. And that's just it. This is all in the physical silver market, folks. And remember, the tariffs really sparked a lot of movement in those areas too, with a lot of silver being patriated here into the U.S. from the London Bullion Market Association and other places too, coming back into the U.S. to avoid potential tariffs that could come down the pike. And that, on top of this news, is something that is really a dramatic move to the point where the big banks themselves essentially are trying to trade the arbitrage. We'll get into that in a moment, but what this means essentially is that silver refineries are really being pushed. These big banks are looking for material for COMEX good delivery bars. These are the 1,000-ounce bars that are also used for industry, but these good delivery bars essentially are being gobbled up by these big banks, a lot of them, to the point where there's a 3-month backup from these refiners. The 2 big refiners are Metalor and Asahi that operate in the United States. They're the 2 biggest ones. And so this is a really interesting thing in development that this is happening. This is massive news because that means that they're going to be paying more. The industrial consumption is having issues finding physical silver at a reasonable price. And of course, you might be thinking to yourself, well, hey, with all of the silver that's coming in, being sold by many of us back to bullion dealers, and they're paying under spot, well under spot right now, why not just gobble that up? Well, it's not as easy as you think. A lot of these places, as I've reported on before, have taken that silver and sold it to wholesalers who then take it and have it recycled into these 1,000-ounce bars. We talked about that before too. So, and along the way, people have got to make money. So again, and unless a lot of these industrial people are coming to you and me and to get their silver directly, which is very inefficient, by the way, to go to individuals that have just a couple ounces to sell or even a couple 100 ounces to sell. It's just not enough. It's impractical. It would take more time and resources and money to buy it from you for 3, 4, 5, even 10% back of spot in order for them to make any money. It's got to go through the wholesalers. And that just goes to show you really how small and how less of an impact you and I really do have on the market whenever we buy it or sell it. And the only people that are affected are you and I. We're punished with premiums or lack thereof when we go to sell our silver. But this situation could have an impact on us in the end. Now, Bob Coleman has posted a piece on this, part of what his thoughts are with regards to what's happening here. He says there's two main precious metal refineries in the USA, and I mentioned those earlier. That's Metalor and Asahi. Precious metals in all forms, including ore from mines, doré, which is unrefined silver, bars, scrap, secondary retail products, etc., are brought in to melt into these refined bars. Currently, the blowout in the exchange for physical premiums, we're creating an environment where these refineries are finding it more profitable to make COMEX and London good delivery bars to the exchange rather than making retail products or other bars for small fabrication fees per ounce. Remember, there's not nearly as much demand for silver right now from you and I, buyers of physical precious metals in the forms that you see here. It's just not there. So it's more profitable for them to go ahead and make these good delivery bars. The retail selling back as prices have been rising has been tremendous. Retail dealers' balance sheets are stretched and have been forced to sell back to wholesalers because they've got this glut of silver that's coming in from people like us who have been selling a bunch of silver. This is a unique time, I think, with all this great demand for silver, but yet not from us who are stackers. This is creating a unique situation. Wholesalers are buying nearly everything at a discount to spot. It's more profitable to have this metal melted into larger bars to make money from the EFP blowout due to tariff worries, which could subside soon or they could exacerbate soon. We just don't know. It's a compounding of different factors. And that is that than to sit on inventory with higher carrying cost. So we are also in the winter, and that makes a difference for gold and silver mines because the chemicals that are used to extract do not work as well in the cold weather. And it's been very cold, as you probably have noticed. If the grades are not good, the refining process may have to remelt pores until the assay meets purity specifications. So that's another factor. Either the grades are not favorable or pure silver, for example, needs to be added to the pour to bring up the grades. This extends lead times. Also, grades of metal coming from wholesalers and other participants may require additional pours due to the quality of materials being delivered in. So with a 3-month backup and all these other two factors, this creates in a sense, a perfect, or could be a perfect storm. Will that play out in the precious metal spot price? Well, stay tuned. Because in this perfect storm, if a large amount of capital decides to come into the physical market at the moment, traditional modeling used in the exchange for physical trade has been chaotic. This started with tariff worries, but now players are trying to play the arbitrage by sourcing large physical bars to deliver to the exchange against their short positions. So this brings back into the commitment of traders and what they're doing as well there. This is a timing issue of the physical world and refining capacity against the paper world of arbitrage and the forward curve. So we're seeing these things come together, a clash between the paper traders and the physical market. Wow. Industry can still go to the banks to get the metal, but it's going to be a lot more expensive to do so now. Delivery times could still be pushed around due to the delivery process that's at the COMEX versus buying over the counter between buyer and the seller. Remember, gold is being prioritized right now for refiners due to the COMEX February contract coming due and for expiration versus the silver's March contract. So they're getting ahead of all that. Imagine if silver's contract expired in February, what that would do. So if this is true, if all this stuff is happening and we're in this playing out and looks to be the case, even though we don't have solid evidence other than what Josh Philip Fair has said, even he has basically said that you can look for hints and clues in the gold market right now. because of what has just been said, but also he said to call these two refineries. I actually tried, had no luck, because I wanted to get this video out, was not able to get any responses, leaving a message or what have you. And so, but if this is true, that we could be in what's known as a backwardation, which means that future prices is less than the spot price. Remember what I told you about one of my biggest pet peeves of bullion dealers is they list the futures price because it's always higher. We very well could see a situation where they come and move in opposite directions, where essentially futures price would be less than the spot price if the immediate need by industry is overwhelming. And we already know that we're in a fourth year of deficit, at least according to Metals Focus. So if that increases and is exacerbated by this, well, then we could see a really interesting situation where a squeeze could happen, and we could see markets start to move and reflect this in the price, the spot price, and the futures price. Yeah, spot price actually going up. And where could it go? Well, if this thing does occur, we could have a squeeze that could test the limits of where silver's performance from last year and repeat that this year, and then some. I'm talking maybe $40. But I think it may take a while still, and it depends if this thing breaks free, or if somehow the refiners are able to push ahead and maybe get that backlog taken care of. We'll see. So we're seeing higher than normal premiums against the forward curves. Since the exchange for physicals were elevated, there has been more demand to cover short positions on the futures, either by buying back contracts or delivering against a short position. And that's really going to make or break to see what happens with silver spot price. I'm bringing this information to you because it is news. I'm not saying that silver is going to go to the moon or anything like that anytime soon, but this could be a catalyst to where that could occur. I want to document it here so that we can have it on record, that this is something that very well we could see 35, 40, maybe even $45 to $50 silver if this thing gets worse. If we see a 4-month backlog, a 5-month backlog, other things to where there is an actual squeeze by these big banks looking to, in a legal way, by the way, to cause this squeeze in industrial capacity, buying silver at a higher premium than they're used to, potentially much higher. The silver price market has no choice but to react in a positive way in terms of price. I don't see how they could tamp that down with short positions. They would potentially collapse. We'll see. So gold and silver goes where it is best treated, and currently that is the COMEX right now, is how that ends. Fascinating indeed. This is something that is it's relatively complex, but you can see how the players move, and I hope this video helped to explain how some of this is working, and to really kind of pay attention. That's one of the things I do on this channel, is try to bring you information as I get it and leave it up to you to really interpret what could happen. But think about it. This seems good for silver's price at some point in time in the near future if this thing continues to play out as it is now. Otherwise, if it could head in the other direction and we could see the markets normalize, or the situation normalize here, we'll find out. I think it's all gonna, there's a couple of things coming together in this sort of conflux that is really causing some concern, and that could lead to what's going on in the price. But we'll see how it plays out. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, please share this video with others, comment, and subscribe.